How's it going, everybody? My name is Jordan with Exotic Whips. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, for joining me on this more of a talking style episode. I'm gonna kind of rip off Salamandra in here. Let's talk about cars, yo. I don't know if he's still doing it, but it just kind of works out well for me, because I personally don't talk to a lot of guys about car stuff regularly, so you guys are my outlet. So my now fiance, I proposed to her, so she doesn't kill me, because I can talk about cars all day. So today I wanted to talk about something a little different. A lot of the people that are subbing to this channel are getting here from my C63 Black Series. So I wanted to talk about that for a little bit, and then I also wanted to let everyone who's now subbing and joining know what my plans are for the E36 M3 build, because that will be a majority of the content that I put out. It will be regarding the E36 M3. So if you're new or you're not new, and you're wondering what I'm doing with that car, I have a 1995 E36 M3 that I got for, it was cheap, at least I thought it was cheap. It was around $4,000, about 230,000 miles on the clock, basically all stock. And you know, in Texas, I probably could have found a better deal somewhere. I live in Austin, Texas, and this car literally was 5 minutes away from me. And if you know anything about Texas, if it's 5 minutes away from you, that's basically next door. I mean, you don't get something that's 5 minutes away from you. It was so close to me, I was blown away. So I may have paid a little bit too much for it, maybe $1,000. I mean, at the end of the day, in my mind, it was fairly rust-free. The body was fairly straight. It ran, kind of. It needed a new alternator, which I've installed. You can check that out. It ran, and it had been owned by one guy for a long time who maintained it. It was his daily until he got a Tesla. So, shit, where am I going? In my mind, it was worth it for me to maybe pay a little bit extra. I didn't have to really drive anywhere. I didn't have to get a trailer. I didn't have to tow anything. It was super simple, super convenient. So I picked that up. Avis Blue, 2-door, 95 M3. What are my plans for it? I'm not much of the 1,000 horsepower, big turbo that spools up at $4,000, that you can't use the power at all ever unless you're street racing on the freeway, and even then you're gonna break loose at 60 miles an hour. I've had high horsepower cars before, and they're great. It's unusable power though. I'm an old man. I'm not gonna be cruising the freeway looking for kill stories. You know what I mean? That's just not my thing. So I'm not going to be doing that. So what I want to do is build I want to build a really, really clean spec M3. The best way I can describe it, if you're familiar with Singer Porsche and what they do to their 911s, I would love to do something like that to this M3. Now, mind you, I'm not Singer. I'm doing this out of my garage. I don't have any tools. I mean, it's not going to be even on the same planet as what Singer does. I fully understand that. But you get what I'm going for here. A very clean rebuild with extra power. I plan on putting an S54 swap into the car. I want to make the S54 swap look as factory as possible. That goes back to the cleanliness of the build, the almost factory build, but above and beyond. That's why I'm redoing the interior. That's why I'm getting all new parts. So when you watch these builds, there's a reason I'm not stripping everything out and just having it be a dedicated track car. I mean, I could do that with this build, and it would be so much easier and a million times cheaper. but that just doesn't really do it for me. I may eventually take out the back seats and put a cage in. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I want to keep it fairly factory looking. I don't really want to remove the back seats. But anyway, that's my plan with the M3. I'm going to redo suspension, going to put coilovers on. I'm not much of an airbag type of guy. I know airbags are really, or air ride are making a big, I guess, they're really becoming a lot more popular. But that's really not my style. I've never been an air ride guy. Maybe I'll test it out, but I don't know. Probably not on this one. So I plan on doing a big brake kit, plan on doing coilovers, plan on doing the S54 swap, plan on getting new seats. The exterior, the body, I'm probably going to leave it. I'll probably have paintless dent removal come out and get the body completely straight. And I'm going to get new wheels, tires, obviously. I may add factory aero and maybe refresh the front lip. Well, I will refresh the front lip. I have a new front lip that I've already ordered. So I'm going to get that dialed in. But let me know your thoughts on that. Do you like the wide body Rocket Bunny 1,000 horsepower style car? Or do you like a clean track street build that's not over the top, still very usable, and something like what I'm going for? Let me know, because I'm honestly curious, and it could sway how I build this. Again, if I were to do a track car, I wouldn't have to buy all these interior pieces that I'm buying. I could sell a lot of the factory parts that I have right now. I could rip out the back seats. I only have to buy one, probably a Recaro pole position that doesn't have to be custom upholstery, you know what I mean? So it would be a lot cheaper to do that, but that's really not my style. I'm not much for that. So let me know your thoughts on my M3 plans, because I want to hear what your thoughts are on that. If you're more of the wide body type, or if you're more of the turbo 1,000 horsepower type, or if you're more of the usable NA power that is awesome on the street and the track. All right, so on to the C63 Black Series. So I had this car probably 2 years ago, and I had it for probably a year. First off, I love the car. The car is an absolute animal. It's a beast. The thing is just, there's no other way to put it. It's an absolute beast. I had it stock for probably 4 to 5 months maybe, and then I ordered a bunch of Wistek stuff, and I apologize if I get some of this wrong. Again, it was probably 2 years ago that I had it, so I don't recall everything I did to it. I know I did rest of world ROW intake, which is, as far as I know, I believe it's just filters. I forget exactly what it was. So I did that. I did Wistek headers. I did Wistek exhaust. I did a Wistek tune, and then I did Wistek TCU valve and transmission tune as well. And the thing sounded just absolutely bananas. It was just a German muscle car. I mean, from the factory, they sound nuts. With all the Wistek stuff, it was a complete monster. It was fantastic. I had it dynoed. Which you can check the video out if you go back. I don't think I can post links because I don't have enough subs or something, but I want to say it dynoed right at like 450 horse and like 410 torque, somewhere around there, which is, and people have pointed out, that is low for what Wistek shoots for. I'm not a dyno expert at all. That was the first car I've actually had dynoed, I believe. second. But anyway, I don't know what kind of dyno it was on. I know there's a lot of debate around, some dynos read low, some dynos read high, blah, blah, blah. It's just a number at the end of the day. I mean, it's not like I was shooting for anything specific. With that being said, there were a couple things that I didn't like about the car, and this kind of translates back to what I'm doing with the M3, why I'm not shooting for 1,000,000 horsepower. The Black Series, the widest tires that I'm aware of that you can put on the rear of that were 295s, I believe. 295s for the rear of that car just aren't enough. At least from my experience, it wasn't enough. I did one track day with it, and the one track day I did, it happened to be freezing. It was in Minnesota, and it actually snowed like when we got there and throughout the track day. So it was basically pointless for me to be there, because that car on a track already with a guy who's not an expert driver by any stretch of the imagination, on 295s that are cold while it's snowing, I had no chance. I mean, that thing was an absolute animal anyway, and the last thing I wanted to do was put a Black Series into the wall and ruin another one of those, because those things are just so rare as it is. So grip, I mean, I'm not really going to complain about lack of grip as a reason to sell it, but by far the biggest reason I sold that thing was the automatic transmission. I'm not an automatic guy at all. Obviously my truck that I'm in now is an automatic, but all my cars are manual. R8's manual, M3's manual. Every other fun sports car I've had has been a manual. I had another R8, that was a manual. I had a Porsche Turbo, that was a manual. What else have I had? A couple of S2000s, all manuals. S5 supercharged, that was a manual. I've never had an automatic sports car, and I'm sure I will, just because that's where all these sports cars and supercars are going. But for that car, that automatic transmission, even after the TCU valve and tune, even after that transmission work that was done to it, it was so slow that, not necessarily in between shifts, when you're hammering on it and you hit the paddle, the shift itself actually isn't bad. It's like it's a single disc clutch, basically. It's like any old school Gallardo or anything like that. It wasn't fast, but it wasn't, I mean, it didn't sit there and take forever to shift, and it was fairly brutal, but it was more so when you hit the paddle, it seemed like I hit the paddle, the ECU or whatever is used to tell the transmission to shift would have to think about it, like, oh, okay, he wants to shift now, what should we do? We got to tell this part of the car to actually shift. So it was more so that it's almost like the computer isn't fast enough to say, he hit the paddle, shift right now. It's like, he hit the paddle, let's think about our next move here before we actually act. And that part just, I don't know, to me, coming from a manual transmission type of guy, when you hit it and then the revs are still going up and you're still, it's like I hit the paddle exactly when I want to shift, and then it just doesn't. And if you have to play a guessing game of, okay, he hit the paddle now, or I want to shift at this point, so I'm going to hit the paddle now to actually shift at the point when I want to shift, I don't know, that just, that bugged me the most about that car. If I were to have something as a daily driver and something as a sports car, I would for sure get another Black Series. For sure. I love that car. Just ripping that thing around town in the city. I mean, it was a cruiser. It was absolutely amazing. But there are so many other amazing cars out there now. I mean, you look at like an RS7 or something like that you can tune to 800 horsepower, and it's just an absolute rocket ship. I mean, that's, or the new AMG GT like wagon thing they're building. I don't know exactly what that car is, or the name of it. I'll see if I can put that in. But that thing looks bonkers. That thing looks amazing. But as for the Black Series, that's the primary reason I sold it. I found my current supercharged R8 at a dealership, Chicago Motor Cars. I lived in Minneapolis at the time, so I just drove the Black Series to Chicago Motor Cars, traded that in, drove the R8 back home. And I believe the Black Series sold fairly quickly after that. And again, it was a phenomenal car. The looks, I didn't even take pictures of it when I had it all finished, basically. I had everything color matched, like the side markers I had color matched. I had all the emblems and stuff done in like a matte black, because the car was a matte gray from the factory. It was an awesome, awesome, awesome car. Just wasn't for me at the time, but the Black Series is a beast of a car. If you're okay with automatics, and you're okay with automatics of that time, because that's a 2012, I don't even think Mercedes has gone to a dual clutch yet. I don't know, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I need to test drive an AMG GTS or GTR, because that would be the best reference. But I mean, will I get another automatic? Probably. All supercars are going that way. A 458, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that car. But what do you guys like? Are you guys manual, or are you guys automatic? Because I feel like even the manual guys, I mean, you have to concede you're not going to beat a dual clutch in performance in any way. I don't think any driver could say they're going to beat a dual clutch shift. As my GoPro's beeping at me for some weird reason, I don't know if the battery's dying or maybe I'm running out of room here. I can't see. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on automatic versus manual, because I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I don't know if it's just me and I'm a freak about that stuff, or if there are others out there like me. So leave a comment down below, guys. If you haven't, smash the subscribe button. There's a lot more M3 content coming. There's a lot more R8 content coming. A lot more track days and just random stuff. So anyway, guys, smash the subscribe button. Hit like if you like this video, if you like these talking style videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you guys soon. Cheers.